Hello, this is Frank Mealy from HeartlandDiaryUSA.com, bringing you news every conservative can use. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay up to date. Well, in the wake of the attack by President Trump on Iran's head terrorist, Soleimani, Defense Secretary Mark Esper just gave a press conference and explained that the United States would not be withdrawing from Iraq based on a request by the Shia members of the Iraqi parliament. And he here is just ending his press conference. You're going to hear after this a brief summary by Fox reporter Trace Gallagher, and then you're going to hear the most astounding commentary by a reporter on the ground in Iraq for Fox, who says that the defense secretary has a shocking lack of understanding of what's taking place in Baghdad. I've written and commented repeatedly on Leland Vittert and the left-wing liberal agenda he has on Fox. I have now discovered that Trey Yingst, the Mideast reporter for Fox, is perhaps, if not worse, at least as bad as Leland Vittert, and I was shocked to hear it. You can hear for yourself.
The commanders in the region, and I should say globally, are taking all appropriate force protection measures relevant to their situation, the threat that they're receiving, the readiness of their troops, etc. So I'm confident that our commanders are going to do the right thing on the ground. Okay, thank you all very much.
Well, there you have Defense Secretary Mark Esper giving a news conference lasting about 18 minutes. He hit on some very salient points. He was asked, how close to war are we with Iran? And he said he fully expects Iran to retaliate either by their proxies or by their own hand. He was asked, how close was the attack that Soleimani was planning to take on U.S. assets? Was it days or weeks? And he said he believes it was days. He said, did you have other options, he was asked, in the killing of Soleimani? He said, of course we had other options. We chose the one that we thought was the most effective. And finally, he went on at length about the Iraqi parliament voting to expel U.S. troops from Iraq, saying that he believes this was a partisan vote, mostly Shia. The Sunni didn't show up. He believes the Shia were under duress. And he went on to say that he does not believe it is a binding resolution, but he didn't know very much about Iraqi law. Let's get out to Trey Yingst, who's on the ground reporting live in Baghdad with more. Trey.
Trace, good afternoon. I think what we just heard there was a shocking lack of understanding from America's top defense official about what's actually happening on the ground here in Iraq. Just yesterday, the U.S. ambassador to Iraq, Matt Tuller, met with Iraqi Prime Minister Abdel Mahdi at length, discussing the decision by the Iraqi parliament to ask America to remove troops from Iraq. That message delivered directly to the American representative in Baghdad. But you just heard the defense secretary say that he wasn't aware of any message being delivered. The defense secretary saying also, to his knowledge, there was no signed letter. We have not yet seen a copy of a signed letter, but the Iraqis, including the prime minister, say that one does exist. So this gap between what the U.S. wants and what the Iraqis want moving forward does continue to widen. And everything that the defense secretary just said there is going to be questioned tomorrow in Baghdad, as many politicians wonder about what this means moving forward if there are continued Iranian threats. The United States has helped the Iraqi security forces extensively in the fight against the Islamic State. The defense secretary noted there are many Iraqis who have been pushing their government to stop close ties with the Iranians, but his comments about the number of protesters also in Baghdad don't match up to the realities on the ground. He said the past few days, Iraqis have been protesting in the streets, continuously pressuring their government to cut ties with the Iranians. That was happening weeks ago. In the past few days, there's been less than 500 protesters in Tahrir Square behind me calling on the prime minister to stop these ties with the Iranians. So the defense secretary here painting a not so accurate picture about the realities on the ground, and that's something that is only going to widen the gap between the Trump administration and the administration of Abdel Mahdi here in Baghdad moving forward, as these two sides to try to hammer out details about whether or not American troops will be allowed to continue their operations on the ground within Iraqi territory. But the bottom line here, Iraq is a sovereign country. So if the prime minister says, get out, the U.S. will have very few options to decide from. Trace?
Trey Yingst on the ground for us in Baghdad. Trey, back to you with breaking